You know, at first I was a little hesitant on making this video for these shoes. I currently own them and I really like them, but there was just one big issue that made me not want to wear these for running anymore. But if you're curious to know more about what this shoe has to offer and of course my thoughts behind them, then maintain your focus because we are about to begin. Alright, so we're going to dive right into the specs of these shoes. Under Armour came out with a pretty cool new shoe, the Velociti SE. These shoes were designed for runners, though for what distances is not quite clear. However, I would guess it's more like of the 5 to 10K ranges at most. There's a different style to this model, but the SE version has a booty construction, which is essentially fitted like this compression-like knitted fabric. What makes this shoe line so unique is that it doesn't have any rubber. It just has this abrasion resistance foam that was originally popularized with the Under Armour basketball shoes. Now for these shoes, I wear a size 11.5 and they weigh about 276 grams. Now I did try the size 12 and surprisingly they weigh the same or a few grams lighter. That was pretty weird. I did return those however because they were just too big for my feet. But for the females out there wondering, the woman's size 6.5 weighs about 192 grams. The current price for these shoes are $130 and that's for both men and women. Lastly, they do have quite the variety of color options. Hold on, let me just, I gotta stay hydrated, you know what I'm saying? Let's get back to the review. All right, so let's start off with the pros. I'm stuck on how they look, to be honest. Part of me thinks that they look really nice, but the other part of me is like, well, let's just focus on the pros for now. The color combinations offered for these shoes are nice and match well with most of Under Armour's gear. Right out of the box, they fit well, were really comfortable, and felt super lightweight. I'll say that these shoes are great for casual wear and walking. I'd even like to assume that they'd be great for traveling as well. I really appreciate how convenient it is to insert your feet in these shoes and how they offer that back loop for that extra convenience. The next pro is that these shoes do offer the Bluetooth feature for Map My Run. This is a great feature to have because it does provide you with that extra data to improve your running mechanics and performances. Now, did I mention how light these shoes are? Man, they're light. The Hoversonic 4s are what I usually wear for running, so wearing these, you can tell the difference. What makes these shoes quite interesting is that they don't have any rubber. That was a concern of mine at first, but as you can see, they can handle the pavement with no problem. I probably pushed over 40 miles with these too. I do want to add that I never had the opportunity to run with these on wet surfaces yet, so I couldn't tell you how they perform. While we're here, these shoes did perform well for shorter runs, which was anything under 2 miles. So things like sprints or drill runs. They were grippy and snappy as advertised. So now, why less than 2 miles? Well, let's just shift over to the cons. You see, these may be light and comfortable at first, but the biggest issue for me here is this knit stretch fabric, aka the booty construction. Under Armour's page says that this knit fabric has a compression-like fit with directional strength. However, I disagree. The upper knit fabric does feel like a compression, like a sock actually. However, my feet were still moving around quite significantly. There is no rigid structure for keeping my feet secured like what the Sonics offer. Over time, my feet would start to feel uncomfortable and this disrupts my focus on longer runs. For the shorter runs, like I said, they did well, but even then, because of the intensity and speed, I just didn't feel confident wearing them, especially up and down hills. So yes, while I could tie the shoes tighter, there's no padding on the tongue or forefoot area, which means that the pressure from the laces will then cause more discomfort. Another point here is that it felt too easy for my ankles to roll over while wearing these. I think the shape of the outsole in conjunction with this stretch knit fabric is the reason. Now these next few cons are pretty minor, but here they are. One is that you can't effectively wear your own orthotics in these. Your feet will not be held securely. Again, for me, sometimes I do wear orthotics or these ankle braces to ensure that my feet are performing optimally, and I do like wearing my minimalist shoes for the most part. However, when I want to run, I want to have a little bit more foam and support, and unfortunately, these shoes just do not provide you enough spacing or heel security to keep your foot in place while wearing your own orthotics. Next was a strange clicking or popping sound. I've never had this happen in any shoe before, but these kept doing that on the right shoe. I did get an exchange, but the sound was still there, just not as loud or obvious. The outsole has this rocker shape look, which may mean less foot activation and thus comfort for the runner. However, I just don't care much for how it looks. And finally, while these shoes' upper knit does stretch for the toes to splay, I'm just not a fan of seeing my toes move around, nor feeling them cram at the top. It's a tough one because they feel great and have the ability to allow your toes to move around and your feet, sure, but not great because I can see the shape of my feet and the toe box. Again, just me being nitpicking here and sharing my personal observations. All in all, for daily casual wear or walking, I think these shoes are totally fine. If you decide to run on these, however, use caution. Like I said earlier, I like these shoes and I currently own them. I wanted these to replace the Hover Sonics, but then over time I realized that it just wasn't a good idea. Would I recommend these shoes? Absolutely. However, I would not recommend them for anything longer than those 5 to 10K ranges, and again, if you have very good running mechanics. And ultimately, I do not recommend these for heavy loads in lifting of weights. So in rating these shoes on a scale of 1 to 5, I'm going to give these a 3.75. That concludes this video. Thanks so much for taking the time and watching it, and of course supporting this channel. I do appreciate that you came by to watch my review and hear my thoughts behind these shoes, and I really do hope that it was helpful in helping you make that decision as to whether or not they're right for you. While you're here though, I want to share with you something, a quick look at what just came in. All right, if you're curious to hear my thoughts behind these shoes, do consider subscribing so I can go as full in detail as possible. But while I am showing you this, it would be helpful to me to know what it is that you're looking to see in that video. But I do have the unboxing and the first impressions video coming out in the next few days. But again, just some exciting stuff that I'm personally trying out for myself to see if I like it, and then of course sharing it with all of you. I do not just buy things to make reviews and just throw it out there. I only buy what I think works best for me and what I think may be best for my clients or people like you who are curious to know what some of these products have to offer, because I understand what it's like to shop and you don't see no videos, no pictures, no real in-depth detail of what a product has to offer. So my goal on the side is really to make that impact and potentially that difference as well. So if you're curious to know more about this, guys, stick around. Other than that, I do appreciate you and your time, and as always, train intentionally with the maximum effort and be one with the iron.